It's a strange paradox of our times. We've mapped the genome, unlocked the secrets of the atom, and peered deep into the fabric of space-time, yet we have forgotten how to look at the sky with wonder. We've grown fluent in the language of algorithms, but illiterate in the rhythms of the Earth. Our cities glow through the night with artificial light, drowning out the stars that once told us who we are. We talk to machines more often than to trees, and we move through life with such urgency that we've lost the ability to feel the turning of the planet beneath our feet. In the race to conquer nature, we become strangers to it, and in doing so, we become strangers to ourselves. Because there's something the ancients knew that we've forgotten. We are not separate from the cosmos. We are the cosmos aware of itself. We are born of stardust, assembled by gravity, animated by chemistry, and driven by curiosity. That is not metaphor. That is measurable fact. The atoms in your bones were forged in the death throes of ancient stars, scattered across space, gathered by time, and brought to life through the alchemy of biology. You are the product of billions of years of cosmic evolution, and yet you check your phone more often than the horizon. But twice a year, the universe gives us a chance to remember a moment of equilibrium, a cosmic breath, the equinox. The equinox is not a superstition. It is not mysticism. It is astronomy. It is the exact moment when the Earth's axial tilt is such that the sun shines directly on the equator, making day and night equal in length. It is symmetry on a planetary scale. It is balance fleeting, yes, but precise. And in that fleeting balance lies an invitation. Because in a universe governed by entropy, where disorder increases and equilibrium is rare, the equinox stands as a moment of improbable grace. It is nature's reminder that balance is possible not as a permanent state, but as a point of transition, a place where forces meet, cancel, and pass. It is the inhale before the exhale, the stillness before the surge, the moment between what was and what will be. Our ancestors revered this moment, not because they were primitive, but because they were observant. They saw the sun rise due east and set due west. They noticed that light returned to the land, that birds changed their song, that the soil began to awaken. They built monuments not to worship the sun, but to measure it, to track it, to understand it. Stonehenge, Chichen Itza, the Great Sphinx all aligned to celestial events, all markers of the human longing to make sense of the skies. Because when you live by the land, time is not a concept, it is a sensation. You feel the seasons not by dates, but by the way the wind changes. And the equinox was the turning point, the moment when light reclaimed the sky, the moment when life began again. And now we celebrate it with calendar notifications if we remember it at all. We've traded seasonal cycles for fiscal quarters. We plan our lives around deadlines, not solstices. We've become chronologically efficient, but cosmically unaware. But awareness is still available to us. The universe hasn't gone anywhere. The stars are still there. Behind the light pollution, the balance is still there, waiting for you to notice. The portal is open not in the sky, but in you. The fifth dimension, as described in some theories of physics, is not a physical placid, is a higher dimension of possibility, a space where all outcomes exist simultaneously, governed by probability, not certainty. But in the language of philosophy, the fifth dimension is the state of consciousness that sees beyond duality, beyond light and dark, beyond past and future. It is the awareness that you are both particle and wave, that you are both chaos and order, that you are being in transition, held like the earth between forces. To step into that awareness is not to escape reality, but to embrace it more fully, to realize that science and spirituality are not enemies, but different lenses on the same truth. That the Big Bang and the book of Genesis are both stories of emergence, of becoming, that your breath is a rhythm synced to the rhythm of the planet, that your heartbeat echoes the pulse of stars. And so, as the equinox approaches, you are offered a choice. Not by the universe, it doesn't care what you choose, but by your own awareness. Will you continue to move through life as a machine, executing code written by culture and habit, or will you pause? Will you look up? Will you feel the balance not as a concept, but as a call? Because balance is not passivity, it is power and stillness. It is not inaction, it is precision. The Earth does not stop to create the equinox. It simply tilts gracefully, predictably, beautifully. It lends not toward excess, but toward harmony. And in that leaning, it teaches us something profound, that transformation is not about force, it is about alignment. To realign is to return to your nature. And your nature is not noise. It is not speed. It is not consumption. Your nature is rhythm, breath, thought, curiosity, wonder. These are not luxuries of time. They are the birthright of consciousness. You don't need to escape into fantasy. You need to return to fact. You don't need a portal to another world. You need to wake up in this one. Because this world, this earth, this sun, this cosmosis, the most extraordinary stage we have ever known. And the equinox is its opening act. The light has returned. The axis is balanced. The clock has reset. The portal is open. You see, when we speak of balance, we're not speaking of perfection. We're speaking of resilience. A galaxy is not a static painting. It is a storm of gravity and dust, stars and collapse, forming and unforming in eternal tension. Yet in that motion, it holds a spiral of order, a structure, a pulse. Your life, too, is not meant to be frozen in symmetry. It is meant to sway, to tilt, to adjust, and then, in the right moment, to realign. That's the gift of the equinox. It doesn't ask you to be still forever. It asks you to remember stillness is possible. That within the pull of competing obligations, you can still find a center. That in a world chasing artificial intelligence, you can reclaim natural intelligence, the kind that listens before reacting, breathes before answering, observes before judging. That intelligence is not merely IQ. It is not test scores or degrees. True intelligence is the ability to see patterns in complexity, to recognize that a caterpillar is not failing when it dissolves inside its cocoon. It is transforming. The chaos is part of the code. And perhaps that's the real invitation of the fifth dimension, not to leap into another realm, but to see that transformation doesn't need a miracle, it needs space. And what is the equinox if not space? A moment carved out by celestial motion, indifferent to our plans yet available to our attention. A moment to say, I release what no longer serves. I plant what I wish to grow. Not with superstition, but with sincerity. Because the science of neuroplasticity tells us what ancient ritual always knew. Intention shapes reality. Your brain rewires according to what you focus on. Your perception filters according to belief. You don't just see the world as it is, you see it as you are. And when your internal balance is off, the world feels like chaos. But when you pause, when you realign, when you breathe in the symmetry of the moment, you remember that the same laws guiding the stars guide your cells, that your heartbeat is a gravity of its own, that you are not here by accident. You are an expression of universal law, not outside it, not above it, within it. So when the Earth tilts, it's not just planetary physics, it's a lesson. Lean just right, and everything changes. Lean into presence, lean into patience, lean into precision, not as rigidity, but as rhythm. Because the fifth dimension is not about going somewhere else. It is about seeing more deeply into where you already are. It is the awareness that time is not just a ticking clock, it is a river of becoming. That space is not just empty, it is pregnant with potential. That consciousness is not a glitch in biology, it is the very mirror through which the universe sees itself. So when you walk outside on the day of equinox, do not just notice the sun, notice yourself, not as a consumer, not as a follower, but as a node in a vast and ancient network, as a participant in a cosmic unfolding. And this, perhaps, is the greatest irony of our age, that we've become so obsessed with exploring outer space, we've forgotten how to inhabit inner space. We built telescopes that can see galaxies 13 billion light years away, but we rarely look inward with the same precision. We simulate universes with algorithms, but forget to simulate empathy in our own minds. We teach our machines to learn while neglecting the art of unlearning in ourselves. But the cosmos is not impressed by speed. It doesn't measure value in likes or followers. It measures in mass, motion, and energy. And right now, the energy of the Earth is shifting. Not because of magic, because of orbit, because of tilt, because of the mechanics of planetary motion, which offer us again and again a chance to start anew. This is not about returning to primitive ways. It's about remembering fundamental truths, that the rhythms of Earth were never meant to be replaced by digital noise, that human thriving is not a function of constant productivity, but of cyclical renewal, that like ecosystems, like galaxies, we flourish in patterns, not in straight lines. And the equinox, it's not a line, it's a curve, a point on the arc of the Earth's breath. And maybe, just maybe, it's time we learn to breathe with it. We often speak of the human species as if we are somehow outside of nature, as if intelligence evolved to liberate us from it. But this notion, this illusion of separateness, is perhaps the most dangerous myth we've ever told ourselves. Because the truth is far more humbling and far more beautiful. We are not observers of nature. We are not above it. We are nature, aware of itself. You are not on Earth, you are of Earth, you are made of it. And the cycles that govern the oceans and trees and stars, they govern you too, whether you pay attention or not. The equinox doesn't ask for your permission. It doesn't need you to believe in it. It simply is a physical event, a cosmic crossing point, and it keeps happening every year, regardless of whether we watch it or sleep through it. But if we do pay attention, if we choose to participate, then something subtle begins to change. The noise quiets, the body listens, the mind remembers. There is a biological intelligence waiting beneath the surface of our overstimulated lives. It's in the way your eyes dilate with changing light, in the way your skin responds to warmth, your mood shifts with the season, your intuition sharpens when you step away from synthetic distraction. You are, in essence, a symphony of evolutionary adaptation. You carry within you the memory of 4.5 billion years of planetary motion. So when the equinox arrives, your body already knows. The pineal gland, deep in your brain, is sensitive to changes in daylight. It modulates melatonin, influencing your sleep, your energy, your sense of time. You don't need to believe in the equinox, your biochemistry already does. And when you align with that rhythm physically, emotionally, spiritually, you begin to remember that balance isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. It's not something to find, it's something to return to. Because we've built a society that profits from imbalance. It rewards constant motion, constant output, constant distraction. But biology doesn't work that way. Planets don't orbit in straight lines. Forests don't grow without decay. Stars don't shine without fusion, which only occurs under the pressure of collapse. Everything in the universe is in dynamic balance, and so must you be. The ancient cultures that celebrated the equinox weren't practicing fantasy, they were practicing adaptation. They planted according to cycles because it worked. They honored the sun because their lives depended on it. And though we've replaced myth with meteorology, data with tradition, we have not replaced the need for rhythm. Data won't save you from burnout. Algorithms won't restore meaning. But awareness, scientific, poetic, embodied awareness just might. So what does it mean to step into the fifth dimension now here in this moment of planetary symmetry? It means recognizing that you are not a passive passenger in the universe. You are a participant. You are an axis of your own life. You have the power to tilt, to shift, to reorient. Just as the Earth does, you have the power to say enough, to realign, to pause, not out of laziness, but out of intelligence. Because pause is not the absence of motion. It is the presence of intention. The Earth doesn't stop on the equinox. It continues its journey, but balanced, centered, aligned. And so can you. The fifth dimension is not a fantasy realm. It is a mindset of multidimensional awareness. It is the ability to see your life not just as a timeline, but as a topology. To understand that choices ripple across space and time. That your thoughts shape your perceptions. That your perceptions shape your reality. And that reality, however, objective is filtered through your biology, your culture, your consciousness. So if you want to shift reality, you must begin with attention. And there is no better time for that than now. Because this moment, this astronomical pauseus, more than symbolic, it is a mirror. The Earth is not asking for rituals. It is offering you a reflection. Can you see yourself clearly in it? Can you recognize where your life is out of sync? Can you admit what needs to be released? Can you plant something new, not just in your calendar, but in your character? Because seeds don't grow because we hope. They grow because we plant, we water, we align effort with season. The equinox invites us to become gardeners of our own lives, not just managers of time, but stewards of energy. Not just thinkers, but feelers. Not just reactors, but creators. And creation, after all, is what the universe does best. Stars create elements, gravity creates structure, chaos creates order, life creates life. And you create meaning. That's your role in this cosmic drama. Not to dominate nature, not to escape it, but to understand it, reflect it, and live in harmony with it. Not perfectly, but consciously. So here we are on a rock spinning through space, balanced on the edge of equinox, suspended in a geometry so vast we can barely comprehend it, yet so precise we can predict it to the second. And still, we forget. We forget that the same precision exists within us, that our minds are capable of more than reaction, that our hearts, despite centuries of conflict and fear, still long for harmony. That evolution did not stop with opposable thumbs or language or microchips. Evolution continues in thought, in culture, in awareness. The fifth dimension, if it exists in any meaningful sense, is this: the evolution of consciousness. Because when you realize you are not separate from the earth, you begin to treat it differently. When you understand that every tree is converting carbon dioxide into oxygen that you breathe, you stop seeing it as scenery and start seeing it as kin. When you understand that every animal is not just a creature, but a product of the same biochemical processes that made you, the illusion of hierarchy crumbles. And when you see another human not as competitor or stranger or follower count, but as another configuration of stardust, just trying to find their way through complexity, you begin to act differently, with patience, with presence, with purpose. This is not idealism. It's the mathematics of systems. When inputs change, outputs change. And if enough individuals shift their awareness, the system itself evolves. That's not a dream. That's emergence. That's how life scales from cells to bodies, from tribes to societies. Small, repeated acts, aligned with nature, become evolution. And that's what the equinox asks of you. Not perfection, not purity, but participation, realignment. A moment to say, I see now, I remember now, I choose now, because choice ultimately is the most profound force in the known universe. Stars don't choose to shine, oceans don't choose to rise, but you can choose to learn, to grow, to forgive, to change. And those choices, however small they seem, ripple outward into the field of possibility. A kind word becomes a wave. A moment of stillness becomes a message. A single act of integrity becomes a seed of transformation. This is not spiritual fluff, it is behavioral science. Human beings are social organisms. We co-regulate, we influence, we imitate. You, whether you like it or not, are shaping the field around you with every thought, word, and action. The only question is with what kind of energy. So as the equinox tilts the earth into balance, ask yourself, am I contributing to noise or signal? Am I reflecting chaos or coherence? Am I sleepwalking through data or awakening to meaning? Because this moment is not just a mark in the sky, it is a mirror. And in it, you might see something astonishing. The possibility that all of this planet, sky, sees and breathe is not separate from you. It is you. And the fifth dimension, it's not somewhere you go. It's something you awaken. So when we say the portal is open, we're not talking about fantasy. We're talking about awareness, an opening in the mind, in perception, in possibility. Because that's what the equinox offers, not a doorway to escape reality, but a lens through which to see it more clearly, more humbly, more truthfully. The fifth dimension isn't a realm of light beings or galactic council sits. The moment you realize that the same laws governing the motion of galaxies govern the molecules of your breath. That the same symmetry in planetary orbits is mirrored in your heartbeat when you sit still long enough to feel it. That science and soul aren't enemies, they're different languages describing the same mystery. We live in a universe where everything is connected. From the birth of stars to the biology of bees, from the dance of particles to the unfolding of human thought. Entanglement isn't just a quantum quirk, it's a metaphor for the human condition. We are entangled emotionally, environmentally, cosmically, and every choice you make, every perspective you shift, contributes to the collective resonance of this planet. So let the equinox be more than a moment. Let it be a turning point, a reminder that balance is not something you achieve once and hold forever. It is something you practice daily, imperfectly, courageously. That awakening isn't a final state. It is a habit of attention, a decision to meet each moment with presence instead of pre-programming, with wonder instead of certainty, with humility instead of noise. Because real wonder is not naive. It's mature, it's earned. It arises not from what we don't know, but from realizing how vast the known already is. To look at the stars and understand they are not symbols, but spheres of nuclear fusion. To look at the Earth and see not just landscape, but life complex, fragile, and rare. To look at yourself and say, not I am lost, but I am learning. That is the fifth dimension. So step into it, not with fantasy, but with presence. Not with escapism, but with alignment. Step into this new season, not with empty resolutions, but with real decisions. What will you let go of? What will you plant? What will you honor? Because the planet has tilted, the light is returning, the soil is warming, and the stars are still moving in perfect mathematical harmony, waiting for you to remember that you are part of their song. This is your reset. Not just a moment in the calendar, but a moment in consciousness. The equinox portal is open. Step in. Bring your science. Bring your soul. And above all, bring your awareness.